Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you guys are doing okay. I'm just going to go ahead and jump in because I don't want to take too much of your time today. Yesterday, we took a bit of time, and I don't want to take too much of your time today. So, a couple of announcements that I want to make first. So, first of all, I put it on the stream page um, of the classroom. And we now have a Facebook. We now have a Facebook page. So you will need to log into Facebook though for you to be able to access our Facebook page. So we now have a Facebook page, and what you'll need to do is you need to comment, like, and post. If you actually write a review of like the school and the program, that will count as a resource event for you. Hello? Did someone say something? Okay. So if you remember, if you write a review on the Facebook page, so the Facebook page looks like this. So once you go to the stream, please make sure you click it. This is the Doors Facebook page. Be very careful that you get to the right one. It looks like this. Okay. So if you write a post on the Facebook page, so right here, right, if you write a review on the Facebook page, right, it will count as a resource event for you, okay? And remember, you still have to get those resource events, okay, for graduation, all right? And this is going to be one of the ways that we use to communicate with you. So please make sure you go on this today. It's going to be one of your homework. I will check on all of you. In fact, I can go to the page and see who did it and who did it. So it's going to be one of the things that you're supposed to do today. Go to this page, like it, follow it, write down a review, okay? When you do that, you're good to go for your resource event, all right? As you can see, there are other posts here, news, school assistance, all of that, all the announcements and everything that we have is going to be on this page, okay? We understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so please try and visit this page today. I want all of you to get a resource event checked off, so please try and visit this page today. All right, so let's go to what we have for today. So last time we were analyzing paragraph 6. Okay, we talked about what was going on in paragraph 6. We answered a couple of questions about it. We are analyzing Dr. King's claim. Okay, when we say Dr. King's claim, Dr. King's beliefs about what was going on and what they were doing, and also looking at the kind of evidence that he used to support what was going on during that time. Just to review, can anyone maybe talk about paragraph 6? Just like a brief review. Someone talk about paragraph 6.
The paragraph 6, we saw the different stage of the action that they took, and we saw the reason why that happened, and the way he think about the community, and the issue that they have with the Black people, houses getting burned and churches getting burned and no answer to that. So he was talking about that they talked to the father, stay, and nobody listened or pay any attention what was going on.
Exactly. So paragraph 6 really talking about those 4 steps in any sort of protest, in any sort of nonviolent campaign. It talked about it, and then it also talked about, just like Delania said, right, some facts about Birmingham, right? Also talked about, some of the conditions that happen for them to want to do something in Birmingham. right? Just like what Delania was saying, with churches getting burned, people getting bombed, and so forth. Okay. So now we're going to move on to paragraph 7. We're going to spend some time analyzing 7 and 8. Okay. So let me go ahead and present this. Can everyone still see the screen?
Yes.
I'm going to move this. Move this like this a little bit so that we can read. All right. So now we continue in paragraph 7. Then last September came the opportunity to talk with leaders of Birmingham's economic community. In the course of the negotiations, certain promises were made by merchants. For example, to remove the store's humiliating racial signs. Now, Dr. King is taking us through the different steps, right, that they went through. Okay, remember the 4 steps of nonviolent protest. Number 1, collection of facts. Anybody remember number 2, the second step? So after you collect the facts to figure out if something is actually wrong here, what is the next thing that you do with that? If you figure out, yes, there's something wrong there, what is the
negotiation?
Yep, the negotiation. You have to sit down and like talk through it, like how can we solve these problems? And then the next one is the self-purification. That's when you have to basically tell yourself the truth, right? We have to do some self-reflection. What is going on? What is my part in this? Am I ready to change? Am I ready to go through what I have to go through to make sure things change? And then you have your direct action. That's when we take action to solve these problems. Okay. So in this part, he's saying that, now they had the opportunity. He's talking about the negotiation part, right? That they have the opportunity to talk with these leaders, right? And even with merchants too, as well. And merchants, when we say merchants, these are people who merchants. These are people who kind of like are store owners and business owners and small business owners and all that. So they came up with an agreement, for example, to remove humiliating signs. There used to be a lot of humiliating racial signs. For example, things like Blacks are not wanted here. Or let me give you some more examples so that you can see what he was talking about during that time.
That was a 17-year-old boy that died in California.
Did someone say something about a 17-year-old boy? Did someone just say something? Okay. Okay. So, of course, you had, like colored waiting room for colored only, the whites color, things like that. You had signs like this, on stores. You had signs like this. So you can imagine.
No dog.
Are you guys, huh?
No nigger, no Jews, no dog.
Yep. And even here too, you can see how they're grouped.
Mexicans, no dog.
Mm-hmm. You see how they're grouped too. So it's grouped as like, just like animals essentially. So this is what, they used to see in Birmingham in these storefronts when you pass through these stores. Okay. So let's go back.
Mexicans too.
Yes. Uh-huh. So really when Dr. King was fighting, he's fighting for equal rights for all of us. Yes, we know mostly the African American community, but really, I mean, minorities in general, have used his example of peaceful protest to fight for what they believe is right. So in this first part, Dr. King is talking about when they were trying to negotiate with some of these store owners and how they promised, hey, okay, we'll take away those signs that we have on our stores. That's this first part. That's this first part right here. So now let's continue reading. On the basis of these promises, the Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth and the leaders of the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights agreed to a moratorium on all demonstrations. As the weeks and months went by, we realized that we were the victims of a broken promise. A few signs briefly removed return. The others remain. And in so many past experiences, as in so many past experiences, our hopes had been blasted, and the shadow of deep disappointment settled upon us. Let's look at what's happening here, right? So apparently they were given a promise. And then later on, he says, as the weeks and months went by, we realized that we were the victims of a broken promise. What do you think that means? What was going on there?
Well, they did the agreement, they had a meeting, and they was talking about removing those signs, and they had a promise that this is going to happen. What they did remove some of those signs to make those people to calm down and not to go for the strike, not to do too much noise because they need the money. And as soon as they said, when the time passed by, they put back the sign. So they broke the promise. They said it's not just that they're not going to remove the sign, but whatever they took at the beginning, they put it back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they feel disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Said and they the other said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They didn't do what they're supposed to do, which is that breach, right? Is that break? And just like you said, Delania, they ended up being disappointed, and just being quite sad because of that. So now it says we had no alternative. So after this has happened, right? We've experienced this disappointment. We had no alternative except to prepare for direct action, whereby we would present our very bodies as a means of laying our case before the conscience of the local and the national community. Mindful of the difficulties involved, we decided to undertake a process of self-purification. We began a series of workshops on nonviolence, and we repeatedly asked ourselves, are you able to accept blows without retaliating? So are you able to, like, if somebody hits you, like, you don't hit back? Are you able to accept that? Which is a big deal because we humans always want to fight back and defend ourselves. But basically, you're giving up your physical power there because it's a non-violent protest. Are you able to endure the ordeal of jail? So are you willing and able to go through the difficulties if you end up going to jail, if you end up being arrested? These are the questions that they had to go through during this self-purification process for themselves in order to move forward. We decided to schedule our direct action program for the Easter season, realizing that except for Christmas, this is the main shopping period of the year. Knowing that a strong economic withdrawal program would be the byproduct of direct action, we felt that this would be the best time to bring pressure to bear on the merchants for the needed change. So they tried the negotiation, ended up failing. They ended up being disappointed. They moved then to the self-purification. In order to prepare for the direct action, they have to ready their minds and ready themselves and their conscience. before they start marching, knowing all the consequences that could happen to them just being involved with this. So then after that, after they go through that process, now they decided, okay, this is when we're going to act. We're going to do this during the Easter season because we know that that is a very big shopping period. So definitely we're going to get a lot of, attention. People are going to see what we're doing. People might even start like withdrawing from going to stores and buying things, right? As a result of what we're doing. That's why it says that the strong economic withdrawal program would be the byproduct, meaning it's something that would happen because of the direct action that they were going to do during that time. So their belief was, let's do it during, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone if that's okay, so that we don't have that background. And feel free to unmute yourselves, like if you're contributing. Remember, you can always unmute yourself if you want to say something by pressing the unmute button. Okay, so they decided the Easter season is going to be a great time because that attracts so much attention from people. So they know the fact that, if they cause this sort of, protest, a lot of people might not even visit these stores, right? As a result of what they're doing. That's why they said it would be the byproduct. People not visiting these stores would be the byproduct of direct action. Okay. We put pressure on them, people will see our pressure. Because of that, they will visit the stores. All right, number 8. Then it occurred to us. So now they've planned that. They're going to do it in Easter. So now it says, then it occurred to us that Birmingham's mayoral election was coming up in March. Now they have an election. They realized that there was an election coming up for mayor of Birmingham. And we speedily decided to postpone action until after election day. So they decided, let's wait. Let's postpone this until after the election is over. When we discovered that the Commissioner of Public Safety, Eugene Bull Connor, had piled up enough votes to be in the runoff, we decided again to postpone action until the day after the runoff so that the demonstrations could not be used to cloud the issues. So at first they were like, okay, we're going to do it in Easter. They realized the elections were coming. Okay, hold up. We're going to reschedule this. We'll do it after elections. And they realized, oh, this dude was a very racist individual. He was the kind of person that when they would have their protests, he would hose them down, like a water hose that you use to water your gardens. He would hose them down. He would jail a lot of them. He really used the police as force to stop those demonstrations when it was happening, peaceful or not. And most of them were peaceful. And he, because of his racist views, he always tried to use force to stop them. So they realized, okay, so now we got this person that has, been able to gain all these different supporters that can, help him, in kind of like a recount of, the elections, who can still win. Let's postpone it until all that is over, because our demonstration might end up blocking the views of what's going on, like the political views and all of that. They didn't want their demonstration to like overtake all of that. Does someone have a question?
No, it's always me saying no to somebody else.
Oh, okay. Like many others, we waited to see Mr. Connor defeated, and to this end, we endured postponement after postponement. Having aided in this community need, we felt that our direct action program could be delayed no longer. So things kept on coming up. Election, trying to get this dude out of office. These things kept on coming up. They kept on moving it, rescheduling it, postponing it, just to make sure that it does not cloud, it doesn't interfere with something else that's going on, because they wanted to get their point across and they wanted people to truly hear them and understand them. So now let's go to the analysis portion. And I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone so that we can contribute during this. All right. So go back to this sheet right here on the right. This is the sheet that you will be filling out. So it's very similar to what you did in the other paragraphs, like paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5. The only difference is that there is a vocabulary section here. Okay. So some of these I've already filled out for you. For example, like this word in bold means a suspension of activity. So basically, like, promise to stop. A runoff is a final contest held to determine a victor after earlier contests have eliminated the weaker contestants. So think about the Democratic primaries. I don't know if you guys follow politics, but for example, the whole Bernie Sanders, Biden, Warren, all those people that kept on fighting for their ticket to be the one for the Democrats fighting for presidency. So that was the primary like elections, right? So then, you have people falling off and all that until you get your final candidates, which is the runoff. The runoff is your final contest to see who is going to come out the strongest. So that's what those two words mean. The next thing that you will have to fill out on your own is byproduct and postponement, which you should know what they mean by how it's used in the text. I want you to put your own words. Please do not research that on Google and type it in. Look at the text and see how it's used and put what you believe. Trust me, I will know if you use Google. I've been doing this for a minute. All right, let's look at these questions. So our aim is to get to 4 questions today. Our aim is to get to this question right here. So let's begin. It says in paragraph 6, King outlines 4 basic steps of any nonviolent campaign. Which of the steps for Birmingham does King describe in paragraphs 7 and 8? It says include specific details to support your responses. So which steps? Remember, there are 4 steps that he mentioned in paragraph 6. The collection of data and facts. So, them collecting the data to see what's going on. Number 2, the negotiation, trying to work out a solution. Number 3, the self-purification, right? Dealing with yourself, reflecting with yourself to prepare for what's going to happen. And the direct action, which is them taking that action, doing that demonstration, planning the demonstration. So which steps did he describe in 7 and 8?
Okay, I can say something about the number 7.
Okay.
He described first, he was doing a negotiation about the problem.
Okay.
Because actually he said we was on negotiations with the Birmingham economic community, and he shows two. What was the problem there? Because he was talking about racist signs and what was happening in the church, what was happening even on the
Yeah, keep on going.
he was talking about what things was going on the community. He was talking about the false promise, things what they say they're gonna do and they didn't do it too. So he was showing the problem and he was showing to the negotiation.
Okay, so I from what you're saying that he talked about the negotiation step, but is that the only step that we see in paragraph 7 especially?
Oh,
Yes, go ahead, Delania.
in paragraph 7, he was talking about that they went already for the negotiation and it's failed. And he talking about the self, how you call it, self
Purification.
purification,
Mhm.
and to get ready for the last step, which will be the demonstration. So practically, he explained why they had to go to those steps, and the consequence. Like he gave a proof. I mean, we already did the meeting. We did some kind of negotiation. We had an agreement.
Mhm.
It failed. So right there was the first step, negotiation, and then uh, self whatever, self purification.
Purification. Mhm.
Well, they said, well, then we had to do self purification, and I will, well, to go on knowing that we may gonna get blasted, put in jail, hit it without get any violence, without just taking and not give anything back. So,
Mhm.
like they preparing those steps for the last step. That is, you're gonna see that in the eight. They're talking about the last step, which
Mhm.
is the demonstration. So right in the
Right.
paragraph, you have all the first step. You have the the negotiation, self purification. Uh, they explain about the problem, the meeting, self purification, and then the demonstration. So you have the first step right there.
Okay, okay. And for those of you who did not attend class yesterday, I advise for you, because this might be a little bit confusing when we're talking about these different steps in nonviolent action. I advise that you make sure that you watch definitely the video post of the lesson that we did yesterday, because that will give you a better idea and understanding of what we're talking about, what these steps are. Okay, because we focused a lot on that yesterday. So just in case you're confused as we're talking. Delania and Manuel, thank you so much for what you guys said. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the answers just later on after the discussion. I realize that it's a better way of doing it so that we're not wasting time. We can move forward. I've been writing down what people have been saying. So great job. You can definitely see that really in 7 and 8, he's just like Delania said, he's explaining the details and the reasoning why they decided to move to the demonstration, why they decided to move to action. He's describing all the steps, right? What happened during the negotiation, what happened as a result of that, they ended up being disappointed. And then they moved to the self purification, what was going on with them during that time. And then they moved to then, okay, now we're acting. Here's when we're going to act. Okay. So they moved through all those different steps. All right. Manuel, do you understand that they went through all those steps in 7 and 8 from negotiation to action?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. So now if we look at the next one, it says, what is the broken promise that King mentions in paragraph 7? So what is this broken promise that he's talking about?
Well, the committee person, the business people said they're going to remove the sign. And they did remove some of them for a short period of time. Some stay there and then they put it back in.
Mhm. So the business people said that they will remove what signs? What kind of signs? Leslie, I want you to take this answer because I haven't heard from you in a while. So what kind of signs did they promise to remove?
They promise to like take out the racial signs that like for the whites only sign like over there, and then like the color people on the other side, like they promised that, but then like a few months later like they put like some new ones but still there, like and they left like some old ones like at the shops and the places, and they broke that promise.
Exactly. So, initially, right, they're like, hey, We're going to stop all this nonsense. We're going to stop it. But then some people were like, yeah, we'll do it. They did it maybe for a day or a week. Put it back up again. What'd you say, hon? What'd you say, Delania? Oh, I thought you said something. And some of them just didn't even follow it, right? So that's that whole broken promise, okay? Excellent, good job. So now, next question. And I would like either for Mr. Van, Jamie, or Iris to take this. It says, why was direct action necessary in Birmingham? Meaning, why did they need to do that? Why did they need to move to direct action? Why was it necessary?
Because they deny all the three steps, and the fourth step is only remaining for direct action. Only this way, no alternative, no choice. Only this one remaining. So they have to do that.
Exactly, right? I like that phrase, no choice, right? So they're not willing to work with them in the previous times, right? They had no choice. They had no other alternative, just like you said, than to act, than to do something about it, right? Which is sad that it had to get to that point because we see that they really have done so many steps in the beginning. And this is really important to know. People don't just decide to wake up and say, let's go to the street and start, like protesting and all that. There's a lot that goes behind that. And this model that Dr. King uses is still used today in a lot of protests. So when you see protests outside, if you see people protesting about something, they have gone through all these different things. They've gone through all these steps before you see them, outside really acting, right? All right. Thank you, Mr. Van. Appreciate that. Okay. The next question involves us to use this kind of skill, which is called paraphrasing. Does anybody know what paraphrasing means?
Use your own words to say something.
Exactly. When you are paraphrasing, you are using your own words to say something. Okay. In fact, I'm going to write it in this document. Paraphrase means using your own words to say something. Thank you very, very much, Manuel. So it's saying paraphrase the following sentence from paragraph 7. So you're paraphrasing the sentence that's right here. So we had no alternative except that of preparing for direct action, whereby we would present our very bodies as a means of laying our case before the conscience of the local and national community. This is a two-part question, but let's do the first part first. So it says, so we need to put this right here in our own words. So we had no alternative except that of preparing for direct action, whereby we would present our very bodies as a means of laying our case before the conscience of the local and national community. So let's put some ideas together. How can we say this in our own words, in a different way?
We can say we have no more options to try to solve this problem.
I like that. Continue.
We got to go. We got to be present. No more talk on letters. No more talk by cell phone. No more other way to communicate. We got to go personally to talk about that. I mean, move to that place. Try to solve that.
Yeah.
I think for me, like it means that like since like they're tired, like like of them not listening to them through like the media, like like they're thinking, like it's time to take action, like they're tired, like of just just laying back and watching them, being like racist. So like they're ready to take action and to stand up for themselves.
Mhm. And actually, Leslie, that what you just said answers the second part of the question. When it says, why did they move to direct action? So that's what you're saying, that no one was listening, right? It's time for them to do something, right? To do something about it. Um, as opposed to just sitting down and just watching things moving. They have to do something about it. Right? Sorry, Delania, you want to say something?
Yes. Well, what I understand, they had to make themselves visible. Because maybe if they come outside, people can see the pain. People's gonna see what is going on. Quiet, sitting down, hiding. Nobody's gonna know what exactly is going on. What they try to do is to wake up the conscience of those people. They've been sleeping for such a long time. And they're gonna use the present, the body, their self. They're gonna allow them to be put on jail. They're gonna make some noise. So the news gonna be talking, the TV, the program. And this present, those noise is gonna go way behind Birmingham. So all the state, even all the country gonna see what is going on and how they've been
Mhm.
abused.
Yeah.
They need to be visible. They need to be outside. They need to be present.
Hmm. Exactly, exactly. Thank you
I
so much,
think
Manuel.
this is
Oh,
they
sorry.
have to do practical, not theory, not the word, but practically they have to do that so that the outsider or the leaders they can see with their own eyes.
Mhm.
So they have to show them with practical.
Yeah. So exactly. Thank you, Mr. Van. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Delania. Thank you, Manuel. So exactly what you guys are saying, right? They had to. Okay. It's just like you've tried every single thing that you could, and this is the only thing left that you know how to do, right? They had to put this into practice now. They had to practicalize all these different things. They needed something tangible. They needed something, to actually happen, right? Just like what Delania was saying, to wake up the conscience of some of these people, right? So they can see the truth. If you're hiding, you're not going to see these things, right? I don't know if you know this saying, but like I think my mom used to say, what's done in the dark will be brought to light. It because when it comes to light, then you see it, then this is what's happening, right? Yeah, so you guys are all correct. So this is great. It is 5:53. We stopped exactly where we needed to, and we stopped even a little bit early. Honestly, everyone should give a pat on the back, like to themselves. Really, really great job. I love the way that we are analyzing. I love the way that we are supporting our answers with facts, with evidence from the text. Okay, really, really good job to all of you. You made my life so much easier today because I was not feeling well.
That's great. That's great.
All of you. So you, just like before, I'm gonna go ahead and fill out this document. I will post it later on this evening. It might be a little bit late. I'll try to get it on there by at most 9 p.m. I do have to uh, finish it and kind of get some other stuff put together, but it should be there maximum of 9 p.m. So if you want to go back at that time and take a look at it and get it done. Remember, all your assignments are due on Friday. You only have for this week, okay? Um, excuse me. So the remaining questions for you to do, let me describe them. So the first question says, what consequences could, okay, yep, I just saw that. What consequences could people in the campaign have? So what are some of the consequences he mentions in the text that could happen to some of these people participating, okay? The next question says, why do members of the Nonviolent Campaign in Birmingham decide to go through a process of self-purification? So why did they decide to go through that self-purification process? I want you to think about the kind of questions that they ask themselves here. Okay, that will give you an idea of why they decided to do that. Why go through that? And then the next question says, what evidence does King use in paragraph 7 to support his claim from paragraph 8 that we did not move irresponsibly to direct action? So you guys have kind of mentioned it before, if you really think about it, through our discussion. So what evidence does he give right here in this paragraph to support what he says here, that we did not move to this irresponsibly? We did not move into direct action irresponsibly. Okay, so what can support, what happens there to support that? Okay. And oh yes, and this one says write a brief summary of paragraph 7 through 8. So a summary is just a little short, give me like 2-3 sentences of what was going on in paragraph 7 and 8. So what was that main, what were these two things mainly talking about in like let's do 3-4 sentences. What were these two paragraphs mainly talking about? What was mainly going on there? Okay. And this is not really a question. This is just somewhere to add additional notes. So throughout our discussions, you guys are incredibly wise and intelligent, and you guys bring in examples from, outside things that you know. So this is a space for you to write it down. If there's something that we haven't even discussed, go ahead and write it down there. As I'm grading it, if I see something, that is really interesting, I'll share it with the class. Okay. So any questions about this assignment?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. So as usual, I will go ahead and upload this as well as the video to this. Okay. So that you can get started on it. Remember, I should have it there at most by 9 p.m. Okay. Okay. Good. We're good.
Good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and end this.